Nightingale Housing is a not-for-profit organisation that seeks to provide homes to owner-occupiers that are environmentally, socially and financially sustainable. The site for Nightingale 2 is located in Fairfield, which is an established inner ring suburb. It has good access to public transport and to bicycle paths. The site itself sits adjacent to a railway station, and it also has a long side facing north. We liked the site because it's an island site, so it has access to light and ventilation from 4 sides, which is pretty unusual for a multi-storey residential building in Melbourne. Nightingale Housing wasn't at that point set up. We had to then raise the money for it, find the investors, find the sites, etc. Following the Nightingale principles. You build simply, you build well, you aim to provide great amenity, and you concentrate where you spend the money on what's going to make a great owner-occupier apartment at an affordable price. So the building in its completed form comprises 3 tenancies on the ground floor. There's also substantial bike stores because we have no car parking. We've made sure that there's actually easy access to bike storage. Above that, we go to our apartments, next level up. On every level, there are 4 2-bed apartments and 1 1-bed apartment, and that goes up for 4 stories. So in total, there are 16 2-bedders and 4 1-bedders. And then on top of the apartments, there is communal areas essentially. There's a communal room, there's communal laundry, and there's an outdoor deck area where the communal clotheslines are to the west, and then to the east, there is a landscaped roof deck area. One of the things we think is very important is that sense of arrival and the journey home, so that there's something when you get to the gate at the bottom, there's a sense that you've come home, that there's garden, and you go up in the lift and you come out again. You're still outdoors, you're on an open walkway, there's more planting, you might bump into a neighbour. You arrive at your front door, there's a sense of materiality and texture to it with the small amounts of detail in and around the front door. Or you walk into the main living room. The kitchen addresses the main living area. The services are exposed. Part of the approach to Nightingale is to strip back what's not necessary. The bedrooms sit off the living room. They have windows facing south. They open off to open walkways. The bathrooms, there's a degree of detail and materiality. They're kind of warm, rich spaces, fairly simple. The approach we took to the form of the building, we wanted to give it a skyline, we wanted to break the mass. We talked about sort of a crack through the building. To think of it almost as a ruin with the planting growing up and around it, across it. But you'll also look up and you can see the skyline. It's not just colourful at the top. The building is essentially constructed from precast concrete and off-form concrete. It's a heavy material, it can be a cold material. It's important to then contrast that, we felt, with something like timber in places where it's not going to weather. So if you look up from the street below, you'll see the ceiling line, if you like, of all the exposed walkways is in timber, along with the planting and the detail around the steel. And then there's elements where we've just pulled out a little bit of detail and tiled it, and that brings a warmth to the building. For the interior, we sought to use a palette which was simple and robust. Timber where we could, on the floors, the front door, and then form ply for the kitchen cabinetry. We like the material and the expression of its edges, and you'll see that we've used it really in quite a bespoke way. The open walkways are a particular feature of the project. They provide light and ventilation to the southern side of every apartment, but they also provide a connection with the street, so that there's activity seen from the street below when you're looking up at the building, and the residents also have this connection with the street. You're not just walking past a faceless building, you're walking past an active vertical community that you can see. You can't see from the street into people's lives and in their apartments, but you do see them coming and going. You might see someone tending the plants, you might see someone stop for a chat with one of their neighbours, or just walking home to their front door. So one of the key aspects of Nightingale is trying to build sustainably and to create homes that are affordable to run. We remove gas from all Nightingale projects. Nightingale 2 is no exception. And then we seek to ensure that we've built apartments that perform well. All these apartments, they average 8.7 star NatHERS, and some of them rank over 9 stars. Some of the key features, I guess, are the tilt and turn windows that seal incredibly well, and lift and slide doors that go out into the balconies, which also seal against gasket, so that the apartments themselves are incredibly airtight. Likewise, they all face north, so they all get great northern lights. The sunshine comes streaming in here in winter, and they have protection in summer with external blinds. They've got engaged thermal mass through the exposed concrete, and what engaged thermal mass does is it takes out the peaks and troughs of temperature change. Concrete heats up when the sunlight hits it or when the heating's on, and then as it cools down at night time, they've actually got some warmth which then radiates slowly. Because we have windows on both sides, all apartments are cross-ventilated. We have underfloor hydronic heating along with the hot water service, and that's all run via a heat pump on the roof, which is electric, so no gas. And we have an embedded network. The embedded network simply means that the building itself effectively get 100% green power at wholesale rates, which makes the electricity that they pay for here cheaper than retail rate of brown power. There's 15 kilowatts of solar panels on the roof, which also feed into that embedded network. All the rainwater is collected and is utilised in the flushing of the toilets in the retail tenancies, and also is utilised for irrigation purposes. That we have always taken the approach that you can't create community, but you can foster it. So you can enable it through your architecture. So you can create spaces for incidental interaction. You can create spaces that enable people to comfortably sit down and chat. The approach we take to the rooftop terrace is that it's broken up into a series of different spaces. And something we always find disappointing when we've just finished a building is that everything's brand new and spanking new, and there's not a sense of age or patina to a building, and I much prefer a building that's settled in, particularly around the landscape. And you want it to be effusive and verdant and overflowing almost. That's kind of how we envisage the building. But what's been great to see over the last couple of years is the planting really is starting to take off, and the way in which the building's sort of settling into its age. The plants are growing, the concrete's starting to age a little bit, so it has different patina on different faces and different angles. Because a lot of developers have designed and built apartments for investors, and the ramifications of that is that they will want to have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, because the investor who purchases it might want to rent it out. They see themselves as being able to have a better chance of renting it to 2 different people, each of whom have their own bathroom. But if you're a young family or a young couple, you probably don't want 2 bathrooms, you want a larger living room. So one of the things that Nightingale seeks to do is to say, well, what do you need? Well, we're selling these to owner-occupiers. They don't want 2 bathrooms, they want a bigger living room. They don't want a laundry because they can have a shared laundry on the rooftop. Instantly they get more living space, essentially, and they get a better apartment.